Welcome to Playing Above the Line, where we interview entrepreneurs, business owners, and community activists to get their thoughts and perspectives on leadership. Playing Above the Line is sponsored by Aviso Group, a business consulting and accounting firm focused on preparing clients for the future through innovation and positive growth. Welcome to Playing Above the Line. I'm Alan, your host, and we have another outstanding guest for you today. So our guest is Leavie King. He is the founder and CEO of CoachedUp. Leavie, thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Alan, thank you for having me. Looking very forward to this morning. Thank you so much.
Well, Carrie continues her streak of getting ringers in because when I saw that you were the CEO and founder of CoachedUp, I was thinking, well, I should just say, all right, start talking, and then sit back and listen, and then 30 minutes later we're done. So
that is a good premise, So, but yeah, I appreciate the invite. I really do. I love to participate in the podcast, and just especially those that are just bringing great information to our community. So I applaud you guys, Alan. Thank you guys so much.
Appreciate that. So let's just start with this. I mean, I think that I would be remiss, since this is what you do. Tell me just when I say leadership, I mean, what do you think about when I say that word?
Leadership for me is all about those leaders who take time coaching their team members. I truly believe that the best leaders are those people who understand how to pour, and literally, and I do mean the word pour, into their team members, learning their intricacies, understanding their strengths, of course, their weaknesses, but also understanding how to pull those two dynamics together to really build a really good team member, which ultimately, of course, affects your organization. So the best leaders to me are those who really embody coaching at the core of their philosophy.
Okay, very good. Well, so obviously, I mean, the name of your business is CoachedUp, so you do believe the premise of coaching is very, very important to you. So let's just start, and normally comes kind of on in the episode, but let's just start by going there right now. So who has been a coach and mentor to you in your career, in your life, that you can point to?
Well, I've had many. Honestly, of course, high school was those formative years. Mm-hmm. My principal, Mr. Albert Lowry, he was definitely a foundational person in my life. He actually helped me to understand that, hey, you're not ready for college. What else you're going to do? And not from an academic standpoint, but from a maturity level standpoint. So he was the first person to actually talk to me about the Marine Corps. So that was a huge impact in my life. So he is someone I revere. Not only that, he's also a fraternity brother of mine. So he still pours into me daily. And then currently, and just along the years, kind of in that same Marine kind of vein, Major General Cooper, a local, phenomenal African-American who has just done so many great things. He continues to mentor me and just give me, great words of advice and encouragement and honesty, unfiltered honesty at the same time. And I look at him and all the things he's accomplished from a successful standpoint in business, in military, now in the community. And I really kind of try my best to take some of those ingredients that he's produced and apply those to the things that I do on a consistent basis.
Very good. So when you think about those coaches and mentors, and when you think about coaches and mentors in general, I mean, what are the qualities that you think are important in someone who is going to be, if I'm looking for a mentor or a coach, I mean, what do I need to look for?
Well, the first thing is servitude. You must have a servant's attitude. You must have a servant's heart at the focus because, coaching people or mentoring people is challenging. It is a challenging road to accept and to pick up. But if you focus on you're the person giving back to that person, allowing that person to see or to realize and conceptualize their journeys, that's such a phenomenal thing to be able to see materialize as it begins to appear. And you've got to be able to say it's more about them and less about me. So you must have a servant's attitude. And then you also must just revel. And I do mean, and of course, now we're in the period of revelry here in Mobile. So, but you must revel. You must find true joy in seeing that other person accomplish their goals and objectives. I think to me, that is just the core of leadership. And mentorship and coaching, you must give of yourself before you can even begin to open up and look for someone to give to you. That's the best gift you can give anybody anyway, is of yourself.
So, I mean, I guess you subscribe to the theory then that in order to be a good leader, you must be a good follower. I mean, you have to start with the fellowship, correct?
You must. But I also think that people have an innate ability to recognize the differences from an early age. Many people try to fashion themselves into a leader, but at the core of ourselves, we know whether we are more fashioned to be a part of the team or to be that person out there guiding, leading the team through challenges, through those pitfalls, at the peaks. And also at those valleys as well. So you must understand how to take direction in order to be able to turn around and give direction at the same time.
Agreed. Let me ask you this, and this is something a phrase that is unique to you. I've never really seen this. So we ask you to give 2 or 3 qualities that you think make someone a good leader, and one of yours was the innate ability to galvanize. What does that mean?
So I look at it this way, and when I think about galvanizing, I'm thinking about the fire. When you look at a piece of iron, people really don't understand what that iron goes through in order to take on the fashion or the form that is actually in. But it must be tried by fire. The fire pulls those elements closer together so you can actually manipulate that piece of iron into whatever form or fashion you're trying to do. I think the leader should be able to galvanize people in that same fashion as far as being able to pull them together, allowing them to be on the same path. Still allowing them to be their individual selves, but again, bringing those individual characteristics and attributes and personalities and qualities together, leading down the same path. You've got to bring people on board with you. And I tell people all the time, I'm on a journey, but I've got to be able to take you on the journey with me without me saying, hey, you need to journey with me. Just my leadership allows you to want to be a part of this journey.
Love that. That's a great point. And some of what you said kind of connotates to me leading through maybe adversity, because you talk about the fire and galvanizing metal and that kind of thing, which, being in the heat of battle. Mm-hmm. It's easy, I think, to lead when things are going well, not so much when things aren't going well, right? So how do you coach people to lead through adversity? Because really, a lot of times I think we may be leading through adversity more than we're leading in the good times.
Yes. Well, I think that it's about awareness and recognition. I would coach or tell leaders or suggest to leaders that you should tell your team members that adversity isn't good or bad. It's just inevitable. So be prepared for it. So if people are aware that you're going to have great days, you're going to have bad days. You're going to have periods where the organization is doing phenomenal. You're going to have periods where the organization is struggling. And that's okay. But you just need to be aware that those times are coming. You see, when people are aware that the hurricane is coming, they're able to prepare for it. We don't know when a hurricane is coming, but on the Gulf Coast, we've learned to prepare for it because we know those things happen in our area. It's the same thing with adversity. We know it's going to come at some point. Let's prepare on the front end and not necessarily prepare once we're in the midst of the storm and that adverse situation.
I like that. So where did this passion come from? I mean, sitting here, your passion for coaching and leadership and just mentoring and all those things it's palpable to me.
Well, thank you.
So where did that come from?
Wow, Alan, let me tell you, great question. So many people would tell me passion comes from, external issues or external sources. Some say that it actually comes from within. I think it's more of an external attribute than an internal one, to be honest with you. My passion comes from other people winning, to be honest with you. And winning doesn't mean necessarily that you've hit the mark. Winning for me means you've tried. You put in the energy, the effort, the time that it takes to try to reach a certain goal or objective. To me, that's just passion. Seeing that person grinding and working diligently towards that just lights my passion. And then once they see it, once they recognize it and they're aware, the light goes off. There's nothing more magical than when a person says, wow, I can do it, or wow, I've done it. So that's my passion, seeing other people realizing that they can win.
Yeah, that's great. So you had a successful career in finance and management for 17, 18 years before you started CoachedUp. So what was the genesis? What made you decide to kind of take that leap and get out of the professional financial world and start your own business and teach folks how to coach? And then what does CoachedUp do? What services do you offer?
Okay, so that first question, there were 2 ladies here in Mobile. I was a branch manager at the age of 29. My baby formative years with Compass Bank.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about banking except I knew what a credit and a debit was, and that was from college.
Right.
Those were the only two things about banking that I knew. But at that particular point in time, I had to go to home buyer seminars and speak on banking and things of that nature and credit. And there were these two ladies that consistently, with other banks, did other portions of the seminar on these Saturdays. And so I would just get up and speak. I had no idea. But these two ladies were in an organization here, which was a national organization, and they wanted me to join this organization. I didn't know why. This national organization had a oratorical competition every year. And so they wanted me to join because they thought I had a great opportunity to win this national oratorical competition. But they didn't tell me that on the front end. So once I joined, they said, hey, listen, now we want you to participate in this competition. I'm like, I'm not a speaker. I'm not an orator. I'm just talking. And they're like, no, you're not. I'm like, yes, I am. Long story short, I did that. I joined and I won on several levels oratorically. People start calling me to speak at different levels, banquets, luncheons, different events. And my wife, who's such an in-depth person, she's like, brother, you need to get paid. No one's going to pay me to speak. What are you talking about? So I was so apprehensive on the front end. I would charge $25, for a luncheon. And I was afraid to even say that out. I'm like, can you pay me $25? They're like, yeah. They were all, exuberant behind the $25. And so I started doing it more and more and more. And then I wanted to hone my discipline. I became certified as a speaker on different levels. And one day I just told my wife, I just don't want to do this anymore. And she says, what do you want to do? I want to speak. She's like, again, speaking part-time is great. Speaking full-time, that's not going to cut it. Yeah. We put a plan together. We prayed about it. We meditated on it. And January the 1st, 2014, I walked away. And fortunately, and sometimes unfortunately, at the same time, we've never looked back. So what we did is I began to focus more on the professional development side. Okay. So now I've morphed. Necessarily, we do professional development, but my company is more on culture development. I am a culture development organization. So what we do is we want to make sure that we can come in for our clients and develop a culture. But you can't develop a culture unless you touch every single individual. So I'm helping to morph and to create a mindset for each individual team member. If I can do that properly and effectively, it changes the culture of the organization. Now you've got a phenomenal organization with phenomenal people because you poured that culture of the culture you want them to have into each individual. So we are all about culture development. So that's about 70% of my business. Okay. And of course, we also offer keynotes, conferences, group facilitations, things of that nature as well. So we do offer several suites within an organization, but our mainstay is that culture development, workshops and trainings for our client.
Well, our previous guest before you came in, Todd Greer, mentioned a quote by Peter Drucker that culture eats strategy for lunch every day, right? I mean, so culture is important. So, I mean, if I'm a business owner out there or in an organization and I'm sitting there wondering, how do I know if I've got I'm wondering, do I have a culture? Which I submit to you that every organization has a culture.
They do.
Whether they know it or not.
I agree.
Okay, so number one. But number two, all right, my culture stinks. I mean, I don't like kind of the vibe that I'm getting here. So how do you recognize that? And then what do you do? What's the first step to change your culture?
So I think every leader should always look at the bottom line. If you're productive, you have a decent culture, to be honest with you, because people who are motivated, people who are happy, people who are secure, that lends to them being better team members, which ultimately allows them to be more productive. Okay. But even that needs to be honed because a lot of times within an organization, there's a lot of change. So you've got to be able to manage that change and communicate it properly as well. So, but every organization can look and feel, because actually culture is palpable, to be honest with you. You can feel it. You can feel whether your environment is tense. And we're talking about the environment. We're talking about the behavior of your team members. So watching that behavior, whether people are on time to work, whether they're leaving early, whether they're calling out sick quite often, if you've got so much of that happening, then there's something wrong with the culture within your organization. People are missing work for a reason. And a lot of time, Alan, it's leadership. And what I mean by that, they've not set the right standards, and then they've not communicated those right standards to the team as well.
I kind of know what I think about this, but so if you have a good, healthy culture in your view, and your culture is what you want it to be, Do you think that one bad hire can kind of torpedo that quickly?
No, I actually think it aids, to be honest with you.
Okay.
We all need a shot in the arm every now and then.
Okay.
So sometimes we kind of coast along
Yeah.
where things are going so well and we're oblivious to the potholes that we're getting ready to fall in. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes things could be going too well. Every now and then, you need a little bit of chaos. And I tell people chaos is great because what chaos does, it reminds you you're not as good as you think you are. There's someone better or working harder than you. It keeps you on your toes. So I think if you bring in a person that maybe is a little bit of a softer apple, they're kind of not as good as or their attitude is not what you think it was. That's a good thing. Now you've got an opportunity to hone your coaching skills to see what type of leader you are. Can you refine this person and get them where they need to be to fit well within your organization? Or after you put so much time into them, of course, we all know when the time comes where you've got to depart and you've got to separate and go your separate ways. But that allows that person to really put those skills of coaching together. And again, it allows you to have to recognize and deal with issues in your organization that you may not notice or be aware of.
That's a great way to kind of flip that on its head and look at it a different way. So I think a very positive way to look at that, by the way. So a consultant that we work with in our firm, Sandra Wiley, I asked her this question. This was one of the first episodes, probably months and months ago. But she's big on coaching and does a lot with HR and that kind of thing. And I asked her if she thought that everyone could be coached. Mm-hmm. Is there someone? Do you ever want to run across someone who is uncoachable? What do you think about that? I mean, can everyone be coached, or are there lost causes out there we just need to back away from?
So yes, I do. I think that we just have to realize some people you have to pour more time into some people than you have to pour into others. That's the first thing. So, I'm a big personal recognition. I'm all about self-awareness because I do this all the time. It's about self-awareness, recognition. Once you are self-aware of self, you're able to recognize those things that you should work on as well. So I think that's the same philosophy when it comes to saying everyone is coachable. You just have to understand, maybe I need to give this person 50% more time than I've given the other person. And that's okay. But that's what coaching is about. It's about giving each individual person the time, the necessary and adequate time they need in order to be a better individual, which leads to a better organization, as I mentioned in the past formally. But yes, everybody is coachable. But coachability also shows their durability. Do they need to remain? I mentioned I was with Compass Bank, and Compass Bank taught me a lot within that year and 3 months that I stayed there when I realized banking wasn't for me.
Right.
But they had a philosophy. My boss had a philosophy. Coach them up or coach them out.
Okay.
But she was really hardline about that. But for me, I believe that as well. But I also believe just put the necessary coaching time into that person until you finally realize, hey, I've done X, Y, Z. This person is just not a great fit for organization. But you won't lose any sleep if you terminate someone or you separate from a team member if you've put the right time into that person. But if you've not put the right time into that person, see if they are a great fit, then most leaders should and will lose sleep because they didn't do it the proper way. So everybody's coachable.
Okay. All right. Well, that's fair enough. That's great insight. I appreciate that. So, you talked about vision and having a vision and the importance of communicating that to your team. What's your vision for CoachedUp for the next 3-5 years? I mean, where do you want to see this go?
Wow. So every year we do something, we introduce a different ingredient into the organization. I'm a turtle. I'm a plodder. I just slowly plod ahead. So every year we introduce something new. This year we're introducing more conferences into our palette as we're focusing on expanding the brand. But I'm very proud of it. Right now, of course, we started in January the 1st, 2014, and we were here in Mobile, and we have just consistently grown beyond this area. So we're all in the Southeast. We have clients all over. But of course, the goal is to be national. My organization, my business is mobile. I can go anywhere and deliver a session or a keynote anywhere. So we don't have any boundaries. And I think that's powerful for the type of organization that I'm in. So I can see within the next 2 years that we're just really going to hit a national stage where I'm able to impact people on a larger stage.
Okay. So technology then is it's impacted every facet of our society, including yours.
It has.
Yeah.
It has. And I'm not a big technical person. I know how to open my email and send emails. build a PowerPoint and deliver the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
So I've got great people on my team who manages those things for me. They keep me up on technology. They keep me up on social media. They make sure that our brand and myself has a presence on a consistent basis. And we're actually going to start moving into webinars. I'm very fearful of that because I'm an in-person type of guy. You know, I like to be in the room with the person. I don't like the tech barrier, but I also can see the benefits and see that's the way the world is going. Because at some point I'll be too busy to be in two places on the same day.
Right.
And that's that's where we're actually trying to head now.
Yeah, embracing that technology. I like it. You mentioned your team. So what do you look for a member of your team? I mean, what are the must-haves for someone who's going to be a part of the CoachedUp team?
First thing, they've got to be able to make sure that they spell CoachedUp right. You know, so because everybody when they spell it, they separate it. So that's the first thing, making sure you know what the brand looks like. Okay. Right. But also just understanding my vision, seeing the passion that I have for delivering, and not necessarily for delivering, because my passion is about when I step into a room of people, Alan, whether it's a keynote, whether it's a workshop or a training, really my focus is when I leave, the goal is those persons should be better than they were before they met me. And that's not a vain statement, but my goal is to pour better things into them, to give them a different perspective, to allow them to see something different that they've been viewing the same for years. If I can do that, then they are better when I leave. Absolutely. If they're not better, the client paid money to a consultant and it did not accomplish the goal. So really, that's really what I want them to do. And so my team has to understand when I get in front of a group of people, I just want to make them better. But it's a humble betterment because I enjoy every single moment of it and I never take it for granted, every opportunity I have. So they have to see the vision. They have to see my passion. They have to see me deliver because you really can't see my passion until you see me deliver. And then if they can understand all those things and they feel that energy, because they've got to be able to feel that energy as well, because when they're out speaking on CoachedUp, they've got to be just an imitation of Leavie, being themselves, but also having that passion and that energy for CoachedUp. And of course, and drive. You've got to be a driven person as well to be a part of the team.
Yeah. And so you can teach the logistics and the processes and that kind of thing, but you can't necessarily teach passion, I don't think.
You can't do it. I fully agree with that. You can't teach passion. You can show it.
Right.
You can show the energy of it. You can show how it motivates you and pushes you and drives you, but you just can't make someone or force someone or even manipulate them to actually reach out and grab it. That's something that they've got to want themselves.
Yeah, agreed 100%. So I know that you're a doctoral candidate right now, so I know you have a lot of reading, I would assume, in that. Can you, and we'd love to give our listeners a resource or two as far as books or podcasts or articles or whatever. So can you point to a book, an author or a podcast or an article or something that has had an impact on you or that is your go-to?
Sure. So my go-to is a book by a local author. Actually lives in, I think Andy's from Orange Beach, Andy Andrews.
Okay.
I've read all of his material, but the one that has made the most impact to me is a book called The Traveler's Gift. Have you ever heard of that one?
I have,
before?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I love that book because what it does, it talks about how to appreciate every single day. It talks about how to fight through adversity because, again, you're going to have those adverse situations. But will you fold? Will you be humble through the journey? Will you blame others? Will you point the finger at other people? Or will you look at the symptom of the problem? So that's my favorite book. And it really goes back to an individual viewpoint on self. It makes you assess who you are in the midst of the troubles. Did you bring this on yourself? Was it internal? Was it external? And then how do we deal with it? So The Traveler's Gift is a phenomenal read. And it talks about him visiting these 7 famous people and how each person gave him something different in order to bring him through the pain. It is just a phenomenal read. The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews.
Thank you for that. No, that's great. I appreciate it. As we wrap up, son Dallas,
yes.
Daughter Kate.
Yes.
Okay. So obviously, you've got a huge impact on them because you're their dad, right? But you also are unique in that you are a professional coach and that kind of thing. So as you send them off into the world, I'm not sure, how old are they? How old is Dallas?
So Dallas just turned 17 Sunday.
Okay.
He is a licensed driver. Pray for me and everybody that's listening as
Bless
well.
You. Yes.
I tell you, so he just turned 17.
Okay.
He's a junior this year. And my daughter is 12. She's a 6th grader.
Okay, so Dallas is closer to kind of being out from under your wing and out into the world than Caden. But as you send them out into the world, I mean, what's the one thing or the couple of things that you really want them to know, the knowledge that you've imparted to them? What do you want them to take away with, from your house as they go out into the world?
Well, of course, as a dad and being well read and educated and all those things, we're just a different generation. So I'm teaching things that my parents didn't necessarily teach me. And I tell my kids the same thing every day. Every single day. I know hopefully it's never going to get to, that white noise when they're just not listening to you. But I tell my kids every day, be brilliant. And it's simple because brilliant doesn't mean you've got to be the best person in the classroom. Being brilliant means doing the best you possibly can and knowing that you've given 100%. If a B is your best, I'm good with that. Mm-hmm. You're being brilliant. If you're bringing C's and that's not your best, you're not being brilliant. So being brilliant is going 100% every day, being focused, being kind, understanding that you've got to do the work in order to succeed. You can have help, but at the end of the day, brilliance is going to come from you, and it's about the work, the energy, the time, the effort that you put into it. So I tell my kids every day, Alan, be brilliant.
Be brilliant. Love that. Leavie, thank you so much. We're going to link your social media accounts, personal and business, down in the show notes. But if people want to learn more about CoachedUp, they can go CoachedUp2Success.com, and that's the number 2, CoachedUp2Success.com, to learn more about you and what you do. This has been great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you, Alan. Thank you for having me, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes and Spotify. It definitely helps us in the ratings, and it also makes it easier for other folks to find the podcast. As always, a big thanks to producer Carrie Wolf and editor Johnny Gwynn. Playing Above the Line is sponsored by Avizo Group. If you want to know more about who we are and what we do, you can visit our website at avizogroup.com. That's AVIZO group.com. You can also check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Thanks for listening.